Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Charles Billingsley podcast. Question: Are we videoing this also?
We are.
We are. We're on. Okay, we're on cameras.
We are.
But our special guest today
is not here.
Not on camera.
No, he's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom, which is through a computer screen.
Yes, sir.
Are we recording this though?
You know
we
what?
are recording this.
Can you hit record on this?
Oh yeah, here we go.
See,
now we're recording.
Now we got it.
Okay, cool.
See it down on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
Yeah,
This
down
is-
on the bottom where it says
And hit
record
on the computer. Boom.
on the computer. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Oh,
See, that's an important. I didn't hear that sound.
bam! Thank you,
And
Adam.
I was like,
Thanks
I
for
didn't
thinking
hear the
about
little
that.
lady telling me that we were recording.
Man,
So
I'm so thankful for Adam.
Adam is there's all things come back to Adam. It's like if it wasn't for Adam, we'd be sunk.
His specificity is
His
amazing.
specificity.
I don't know about that.
It's,
We're going to do that in every single podcast. We're going to name that word.
because 2 weeks ago Adam said the word specificity, and now we just use it for everything.
Just because.
So I thought last week with Patrick Day was awesome.
Yeah, Robert Day from the Patrick Henry Family Services. You know,
We said it. Can we say that again?
I just love that.
So I thought Robert Patrick's was it was a great day. No, wait, it was a great
It was a great day.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Robert Day. What a story though.
Yeah, Robert Day was amazing last week. And
Yeah.
I can always tell you sat back, you brought the microphone back with you, and you were just like,
Well, his story.
Entranced.
you were a wreck.
I
Like,
was everything I could do just to keep from weeping. His story is incredible, and as he was leaving the barn, he gave me a hug and he said, "Thanks for giving me a chance to tell my story." And I thought, good grief, the story of this man. I just feel like I feel so privileged to grow up in a Christian home with great parents, and this guy, man. 9 out of the 10 things that is the mark of a truly abused person. He's 9 of 10 of those. He went through all of it. He's seen everything there is to see.
well, and the fact that he's sitting there talking to you, helping other people, his family
and
is
spends
healthy.
his life helping people that going
That's
through what he did.
such a
It's-
testimony to what God did in his life and so
Yeah.
many other people. And that's what the podcast is about. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to last week's podcast.
Yeah.
And then ask yourself, what can I do to help
Exactly.
someone else?
Yeah, what a story. But, as is every week, we like to just tell people stories and what they've learned through their journey and their experience. And out of their experience and their journey, people develop skill sets and talents and hearts and motives and visions that really end up changing a lot of lives. Sometimes it's by way of foster care. Today, it's by way of all things, hospitality. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you've been to a hotel, you've been to a resort,
A few.
where the people are bad hosts. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go back?
Nope.
No, I don't care how good the place is.
No. And you could probably name some specificity about what you've been through.
With some specificity.
Yeah, I think that's
That's
he
what
was
I
looking
meant.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've had several
Yeah.
places I'd happily not return to.
No. And it usually has to do with whoever that first point of contact is. You either like them or you don't. They're either kind or they're not. They have a smile on their face or they don't. And the team around them is either helpful or not helpful. Mm-hmm. It's a big difference. I've often thought that if I didn't do what I do for a living, I'd want to run a resort. Because I've been in so many hotels and been in so many resorts that I kind of know how people should be treated.
And usually, here's the thing with those types of industries or that division of a resort or that staff. Mm-hmm. That is a 100% cultural leadership issue.
Yes.
If you have a leader who is ambivalent towards guests or the needs of the people, or doesn't care, or gives an aura that they don't care, that will filtrate down into the entire staff. And that's how you have a bad review.
Ooh, you just wet our whistle.
But today's guy,
He's
doesn't have
world
that
class.
problem.
No, we have one of the greatest. I guess I would call him a hospitality expert, but you know what he really is? He's a golf pro. That's what he does. He has his own golf shop at Meridian Golf Course there in Meridian. I guess it's Meridian is it technically Meridian Hills or just Meridian? I'll ask him in a second when we bring him on. But this beautiful golf course, fantastic, right in the heart of Indianapolis, kind of in that old money section of Indianapolis, which is a gorgeous part of town. But when you walk into this place, you drive onto this course, you're met at your car with 2 or 3 incredibly kind, young, vivacious helpers. They greet you with a little tag with your name on it. They already know you're coming. It's just, he's got the tees, the little ball mark, everything is just beautiful. But I've been to world-class golf courses where you don't get treated with this kind of, it's like you roll onto that golf course campus and you feel like you're somebody the minute you step out of your vehicle, and it's because this guy has created that culture. So everybody, I want you to meet one of my favorite people on the planet, Mr. Todd Firestone. Come on.
Yeah.
Hello, Todd.
What's up, Charles? Thanks, guys. Brandon, Adam, thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, we're thrilled to have you. You've been impressing me for years and years, ever since our friend Tom Shepard took me golfing at your course in Fort Wayne. And then you moved down to this world-class course in Indianapolis. Is it Meridian or Meridian Hills?
Meridian Hills Country Club. Yep.
That's right. And you've been there how long now?
I'm just starting my 8th season.
Wow, man. And when you walk in the club shop, it says Firestone Pro Shop. Is that right?
Todd Firestone's golf shop. Yep.
Yeah, Todd Firestone's golf shop. So it's kind of like he's got this brand going on, but with the Todd Firestone brand, you know what to expect. It's going to be quality and it's going to be class. So tell us, Todd, how you got involved doing this, first of all, and then what sort of clicked in your mind on how to become such a great host to the guests that you entertain?
You know, as far as my story, real quick, being from Indiana, I grew up, and my dad was a basketball coach for 30 years, and that was my main love. Ended up going to Grace College there in Winona Lake, to play basketball. I did play golf. Pretty much, I told my mom and dad just so I didn't have to go to afternoon classes. But between my sophomore and junior year, the local golf pro there at Rosella Ford in Warsaw, Indiana, asked me if I wanted to earn some extra cash and just help out in the golf shop, because like in our business, I lose all my high school and college help in August, but yet August, September is probably our busiest months. So I said to Don, I said, sure, I'll help out, and just fell in love with the whole business side of it, and went back. I switched my major from education to business, and right out of college started working for Don at Rosella Ford, just right out of college. So I think that the thing that I love the most was it still involved the sport, just growing up as a basketball coach's son and being competitive, but the ability to have so many touches. I think when you're coaching a basketball team, you're only going to touch maybe 12, 13 lives that you're coaching. I look at it as I have 800 bosses here at Meridian Hills, as in members. And I've got some buddies in the industry, they look at that as a downside. They'd rather have that one owner that all they have to do is worry about taking care of one person. My belief is, let me get 800 raving fans and I'll show you, how you can be successful with that. So I love where I'm at. I love what Meridian Hills has allowed me to do with how passionate I am. I was fortunate to be at Fort Wayne Country Club, but coming down to Indianapolis, both situations, we say you never want to follow Bobby Knight, right? And I followed the guy that followed Bill Kratzert at Fort Wayne Country Club. Mr. Kratzert was there for 42 years. I followed the guy that followed him. I had to sort of put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And then Jack Barber was the pro here for 38 years, and I followed the guy that followed Jack Barber. So, all the moves that I made, I never sent a resume. I never really applied. It was from how I made them feel when they were a guest, playing my facility. So that's what got me in the interview room. And like I tell my assistants that move on, I can do my best to get you the interview, but I hope I can really train you how to present your brand in a room of 9 people that are interviewing you, because all it is how do you make all 9 of them get this warm, fuzzy feeling that I might have said the same exact thing the previous candidate said, but I hope I can say it to where I touch their heart a little bit, sincerely, not fake, but sincerely, because that's who's going to win, on that. So, but I'm very blessed and just love what I do. Like I said, I could talk all day, on hospitality and how we make people feel.
So carry us through sort of the mindset, like when you're talking to your team. What are some of the things you tell like a new employee on how that they need to properly treat these clients and treat people when they get on your campus?
It's interesting, on that question, because it's I actually had some things happen today with staff that um, can bring tears to my eyes. To be truthful with you, when they walk into my office right here, I try to explain to them that yes, this is around golf, and most of the time they've played golf. That's what's got them here. But what I really try to get across to them is, we're no better than anybody, but this is a Division I program. I said it's like anything in life. You've got Division I, Division II, Division III. You got NAIA. I played NAIA. Division I, the expectations are higher. You represent the brand of Todd Firestone and Meridian Hills wherever you go, not just on property. I look them in the eye and I say, do you want to be a head golf professional? If I sort of see, like, I don't think I really want to be a head golf professional, between all of us on this podcast, if anybody's listening, the interview's over, after that, because I want them to understand, if you are worth what your resume says, you're probably going to be here about 2 to 3 years, and then you're going to move on and you're going to be at a great place as a head golf professional, making a living that is hopefully a little better than what they're making as an assistant. But I think it's just really truly getting them to understand is, yes, it starts in the golf arena, but man, branding yourself is everything. It's like, we met with a sales rep this morning, hey, you assistants, make sure you follow up with an email, thanking them for taking the time, whether we do business with them or not. You just never know how that one person, can be that difference maker. Same thing with when you guys come and play here, that's another thing. I'm not doing that just because I know Charles and Adam and Tom, and Tim are coming. Man, I try to do that. If I got 150 people on that tee sheet, I'm so passionate about it that I want all 150 people getting that same experience. And if I can get my team to see me doing it and see why I'm doing it, I mean, the handwritten thank you notes that are taped onto my assistant's door, those are earned. You know what I mean? Average experiences don't get a handwritten thank you note. I hate to say it. Good experiences don't get a handwritten thank you note. Great experiences, too easy to text. It's too easy to email now. But when I get a handwritten thank you note, man, I will tape that baby on my assistant's door and go, okay, guys, this is why we do what we do.
Speaking of handwritten,
If I answered your question, but like I said,
oh, it's great.
we could sit here and talk all day.
Well, and speaking of handwritten, I'm in the, just minding my own business one day after we did a little golf trip together out in Scottsdale, and about a week later, I get a handwritten card and there was 8 of us on the trip. One guy sends me a handwritten card with a very kind note, and it's Todd Firestone. So it's not just getting the notes, it's also sending the notes that makes you such a great, hospitable, and just wonderful, caring human being. So really,
Did you like the new stationery?
I thought it was awesome. Are you kidding?
And hey, we'll spend 10 seconds on that.
Yeah.
It took me months to get that approved. And
Really?
again, I tried to prove to my staff the power of the quality
Yeah.
of what you write in is also going to set yourself apart. And I mean, I tweaked that thing and tweaked it. And finally, it's Dimple Rock. The guy's like, are you going to let us print or not? I'm like, hey, I want to be unique. I want to break the norm here a little bit, you know? So
Well, it
let
certainly
my
did.
staff seeing that, you know,
Yeah.
I hope they can carry that when they move on.
That attention to detail.
That's the key.
I
Well,
love
it's what I talk to my guys all the time about. The value of imputation is what I call it. I found that word somewhere.
Same
How
place you found specificity.
specific? You have a hard time with that word.
Yeah.
The how a person interacts with a product determines the value that a person will attach to that product.
True.
And so, having a nicer stationery than something that you pick up at Staples.
Well, and it's not only nicer quality wise, but the shape of it was different than anything else I had in my it's the shape, it's different, it stands out, and you just automatically you just go, wow, who's this from? There it is. Oh yeah, he's showing it to us. There it is. See that?
So again, I just wanted to just set something different. And again, wasn't cheap. Okay. But again, I'm blessed to be where I'm at. And again, it's like I tell my team, it costs a little bit of money if you're totally passionate about something to improve your brand, you know?
So there's a lot with your team that you model for them. What are maybe 2 to 3 nuggets that you find yourself just repeating and dropping in their life week after week?
I tell you, I talked about it with probably, I got a young lady that works for me. She's been with me all 7 years, and we just had a very nice, emotional conversation, you know, this morning. And a lot of it is one thing I've learned in life, I can talk about a little later. But you know, I've had some bumps in the road, you know, even in my own life, you know, the last couple of years. And I think one thing that I've really realized through, you know, the grace of God above is being grateful, you know, so much more. You know, yes, I've been successful professionally. Yes, I've moved a lot of people on, but truly in the moment that they actually worked for me, I overlooked so many opportunities of thanking them. You know what I mean? I do a great job thanking them when they move on because, okay, wait a minute, Todd, is it because it makes you look good? You know, type deal, maybe selfishly. And I was just able to sit down with this young lady today, and it's just one of my goals. I pray about it every day now of, hey, you know what? Where's the opportunity that you can really be an encourager today and really a grateful, you know, opportunity. And even with my members, I mean, I think I am. I think you guys who know me probably think, well, Todd was always happy and da 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 da. I've been through some crap, you know what I mean? But right now, I'm at the best place I've ever been. I know it's just from things that my staff has been there for me and my higher power, my good Lord above. And right now, it's just really being there thick and thin with them, thanking them, and really communicating with them a lot. You know, we sit down, we meet a lot at the end of each day. I bring everybody into my office and I just say, "Hey, who was not happy today?" And it can be the stupid littlest thing. You know, Mr. Miller says we lost his putter cover, you know. I will follow up with just a simple little email that night. Hey, Mr. Miller, sorry, I heard we couldn't find your putter cover today. I just want you to know we got our eyes looking for it. I'll let you know when it's turned up. 99% of those emails coming back to me each night is number one, Todd, I can't believe you know that they lost my putter cover today, you know, but it's again bringing that team in, not just on, you know, when I need to rip them apart, but I need to do it more on, hey, here's some great things that we're doing, but also tell me what that I try to be everywhere that I can be, but I always can't be. But having them as that extra set of eyes and ears to where then I can just keep this communication going with my members has been powerful. I was at my personal trainer this morning. I've been working out now for 16 months, 3 days a week. My old self thought that if I would leave work for 45 minutes, the walls would fall down. Okay. Like, oh my gosh, this place doesn't exist anymore. And for 16 months now, I've been going 3 days a week. And when I'm not at work, like my oldest son's a baseball player. So the last 3 weekends I've been in Raleigh, but I will shoot an email out to the membership. Hey, everybody, this is the new stuff we've got coming in. My staff's ready to take care of you. I'm going to Raleigh to watch Jack play baseball. This morning I'm working out and there's probably 5 members in there and they're like, hey, how'd Jack play this weekend? How was
Right.
Raleigh?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I've worked at other clubs where other managers come into me and go, you over communicate with the members. You're making us look bad. I'm like, I never can over communicate with my members. And I tried to share with my staff this morning on this topic. And when I got back, I go, I want you guys to be aware of something. You have to earn that respect before you can play that card of being gone.
Right. Yeah.
I said, I've had other guys in the industry who play the card of, well, it was my son's birthday. It was my son's this. It was my daughter's this. It was our anniversary. It was what? Yeah, but if you don't earn being present and building that brand and that culture that Adam was talking about, if you don't do that first, they look at that email as, who cares? He's never there anyway.
Right.
His staff does it anyway. So it's just ways of learning moments that the more I can I'm an open book. Right now, that door's shut. Is probably the first time it's been shut, in a long time. Last year, guys, between you and me, and I could bring Sophie in right now, I never used my office last year at all. Never was in here one time. I worked the counter the whole year last year. And I opened my door last year, like in December. And you guys should see all these clothes I get, which if Charles and I were the same size, which we might be, he'd love it.
Oh my God!
I'm the same size as you.
Medium. I wear
Same
medium.
size.
I get
Medium.
so much
He gets-
junk sent to me from brands that want to be in my shop. Well, I didn't know I had all this stuff last year until I opened the door.
Wow.
But I used this in my annual meeting speech last year. I said, I learned something, everybody. I said, even though I do have a beautiful office, you guys can't see it all, but I think Charles has seen it. I got a great office. I am no good when I'm in this office when it's golf season. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I put my iPad, and no lie, I worked that counter all year last year. Now I still don't know how to ring a shirt in. I can answer the phone, but other than that, just me being out there, being like what Charles said, when somebody walks in there, I can be that first one to talk to. That was a big light bulb learning moment for me. I'm always visible out on the first tee on the golf course, but when I get in here, I usually run back here, try to catch up. I did it all right at the counter. So I just plan on doing that, until I retire.
It sounds like the importance of presence of your just the importance of people overlook that just being part of somebody's life, of investing yourself in their life, that goes so far with people. And I can tell, just meeting you here, but just your energy, your enthusiasm is infectious, but just you being around people. If you're not around people, how can you influence them?
You can't. And that's why this conversation I had with this young lady today, I might as well say it's a podcast, but she's going to be moving on at the end of the year, and she's found a great opportunity. And she was crying and I was crying because she's like, you have no idea what you've done for me, not just professionally. And, I'm crying and I'm like, no. What you've done for me, you have no idea what you've done for me. And I go, let's just use this whole year as a celebration of times that we can't let the busyness keep us from celebrating small victories together, and I go, now I'm going to bawl like a baby October 1st, when that's your last official day. but I'm just like, Sophie, you have elevated my brand, because she started as a bag girl for me. She's worked in the golf shop, and now she actually runs my golf shop. I mean, I could be in a car accident tomorrow and she could run this place probably better than I could, but she's like, Todd, it was just so hard to come tell you this because of what you've done for me. And I'm like, number one, I feel bad that I've made you lose sleep over this. Because I say, yesterday she's like, hey, I need to talk. I was thinking it was about, some member driving her nuts. And, I was like, all right, I'll sneak and handle that. But no, it's, this is bigger than golf. I've learned that, and, you let me know when you want me to tell this Blue October story, because it'll just rock everybody's world. But I mean,
I think now's a good time, Todd. Go ahead.
so, those of you on the podcast, and, Brandon, Adam, and Charles, a couple years ago, I went through a divorce. I let my job, I let my career, I just let everything just control my life. Okay. Now, the good news is, with the good Lord above, Jenny, my ex-wife, she's to this day probably one of my biggest supporters. Okay. And I think I was flying somewhere, and this was probably 6, 7, 8 months ago. All right. And I come across this podcast of this lead singer of Blue October. And I watched this thing and I'm like, this is unbelievable. This is powerful. All right. And then I start listening to their music and I'm like, these lyrics are phenomenal. So we're on this golf trip and we got this house that sleeps 30, and there was only 7 of us, I think.
It was
Of course.
amazing.
Of course.
Because it was Tom Shepard.
Of course.
But
It was
Charles and I just have like the big main level. All right.
Yeah.
But I sort of controlled the PA system all week.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And without saying anything, I just kept playing this Blue October. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward. Justin Firstenfeld, I think's his name. He even does a podcast every Tuesday night, and I'll just watch that. And I've actually shared this with Jenny a lot. I've shared some songs with Jenny that, man, these songs have like moved me. Okay. I bought this ticket for this Blue October concert like 4 months ago. And I mean, I spent some money on this baby. Okay. Which is tonight.
Tonight.
And it's in Nashville, Indiana. True story, boys. And I had this conversation with Jenny, because we were watching Jack play baseball this past week. And I go, I really think God puts people in your lives at certain times that'll just blow your mind away. And she's like, I believe in that too. Because our son got drafted out of high school to play professional baseball. And the guy that was going to draft him was on her flight flying back. And Jack's had a great start to the season. He's got 4 home runs already. And Mike Shirley was like, hey, Jenny, I hear Jack's killing it. And that's when I made that comment.
Yeah.
Now, we get into Chick-fil-A, which I could talk Chick-fil-A for 2 hours on a podcast if you want. I go to Chick-fil-A 3 days a week to get lunch for my staff. I go yesterday. The lead guitar violinist is right in front of me.
From Blue October. Wow.
Boys, now my mind's racing. Okay. And I'm like, you know what? I go, hey, Ryan.
He knows my name.
Yeah, knows him by name.
I go, your band changed my life. And I said, you have no idea. And I mean, he's just standing there. So we start talking. And he goes, what are you doing right now? And I go, I actually have to take this Chick-fil-A back to my staff. He goes, well, I Ubered here from my hotel. He's like, you want to just take me back to the hotel? I'm like, yeah, hop in. And so we start talking, and he goes, give me your number. He goes, we'll stay in touch. And he goes, you need more tickets for tonight? I go, I'm going by myself. And I said, I'm good with this, you know? And I shake his hand and I go, hey, I hope I see you tonight. He goes, oh, you're going to see me tonight. He goes, you just call me when you get there. So I have no idea what's going to happen tonight. But I just told that story. I drop him off. I'm driving back. I call Jenny, and she's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm not kidding you. I go, I can't make this stuff up. And when I got home last night, I mean, it's just like I've been meditating, every morning. It's like I'm like Brandon, I am high energy. All right. But I have to, what I've learned with this meditation is, okay, yeah, when I'm here, I go 100 mph. But man, if my son or Jack or Trey would call me right now, I hate to say this, I'd have to leave the podcast and stinking answer it.
Yeah.
My old self would be, nope, this is more important. Nope, I got members waiting for me. That can wait. I'll call them back. And just where I'm at right now, I am, like I said, I am so grateful. Yeah, I may not have Jenny and the boys under the same roof, but man, am I showing up and manning up, and conversations that I'm having with them. Trey said something to Jenny the other night that I've never seen Dad like have a friend like this before. And there's a member here, great guy, same sort of situations that I've been going through. And he's, again, this guy fell into this guy's a high profile, used to be an NBA coach, but guess what? He could walk in this door right here and he'd give me a bear hug, and we just leaned on each other. And we took Trey to a ball game the other night, and coach just gave Trey a big bear hug and said, hey, Trey, keep grinding, keep following your passion and all that. And that's when I think when Trey talked to Jenny that night, he's like, I've never seen Dad have a friend like that. Because I think outside of work, I just let this consume everything, So
There's a picked up a couple months ago now. So you talk about being grateful and having that posture. So most days, it's not every day because I can't stick with it because there's areas of my life where I just like sleep some days. But when I'm praying, there's two aspects to it. First of all, what am I grateful for? And then second of all, what am I and who am I praying for? But I was listening to a guy, and there's three components he added to the whole gratefulness practice. And it's, what are you grateful for in the moment? So like some mornings, it's as simple as, hey, I don't feel quite as groggy as I did yesterday.
Yes, I'm grateful for this coffee.
I'm grateful for coffee. I'm grateful that we have coffee. I have a cupboard full of coffee. What am I grateful for in the last 24 hours? It causes you to reflect. And then what am I grateful for in the day ahead? And that really reframes. So if I got to have a work conversation or a conversation I'm not looking forward to, now I get to go. It forces me to go, I get to have this conversation today. I don't have to have it. Yeah. And it's
a
really
total mind shift.
And I think what I hear is so cool from you, Todd, is that you're saying you're so grateful for where you are now, but you wouldn't be where you are now without what you've come through, what God's brought you through. And we have to, everyone listening and watching has to realize you can't go back and be so mad and upset and, man, I wish I'd never, no, even our past podcast guests we've had, where they are now is because of all the stuff. It could be bad, it could be good, but God's brought you all through that. And look where you are now, and you're valuing every moment that you have, and especially your family. So, man, what a great testimony that is.
I mean, even that golf trip, Charles, that we went on, I
Yeah.
needed that more than any of you guys knew, I mean, I really, for 2 years, I mean, I really didn't want to do stuff like that. Your journey of everything, there's different seasons of it, but man, that trip, I just felt like I could be me. We had a good time,
Yeah, that was
and I
fun.
needed that big time.
I did too, honestly. And one thing I loved most about that trip was just getting to know you, and just seeing how you operate and function and deal with people is a beautiful thing. But what's really cool to me, Todd, and you've discovered one of the secrets to me that Jesus gave us a long time ago with the two greatest commandments: to love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, but then to love your neighbor. Well, what else does he say? As yourself. And I think the thing that you're coming through, Todd, now is you're finally beginning to love yourself. And I mean that in a good way. You've forgiven yourself. You're now taking time to be the man that you know you need to be. And you know where that's going to come out the most? In how you love your neighbor, your clients, your members, your staff, and everything else. So all that's going to do is greatly increase the man that you've already been, but now so much even better, because now it's coming from a deeper place in your life, not just because it's what you need to do as a good boss or a good host, but now you're doing it out of genuine love for those people and for yourself.
Yeah.
And for God.
Right. You're exactly right. Exactly right.
So let me ask you this. This is a little personal, and we can edit it out if we need to, but has Jenny noticed this change in you as well?
She has. I mean, I could say, and I don't know what I mean, I don't want to offend anything, but no, I mean, there's some texts that I'll read 5 to 10 times a day that say, "Man, I see a difference, and we're proud of you." Something happened last week, but I knew about it a couple of months ago. And again, old self compared to new self. It's like I got this bat, and I have been going to a therapist. I go to a therapist 2 once a week, and he's been great. So he helps me with this. But all these accolades on the walls, a couple years ago, I wanted to rip them all down and just go burn them. Wow. You know what I mean? Because I didn't include my family on all this stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm. Maybe I said it, but I didn't. Does that make sense on that? Well, I got honored as Callaway's National Golf Pro of the Year last Monday, but I knew about it 2 months ago. Okay. And I called Jenny, Jack, and Trey that day, and couldn't even talk. Mm. And I said, all the other ones, I thanked you guys for it, but I really didn't thank you guys for it. And so last Monday was when and it was real. I mean, Chip Brewer, there's another reason why I'm with Callaway Golf. Chip Brewer is just awesome. This ain't a Callaway plug. This guy's a great person. But he did a very cool video bio that showed in front of all the Indiana professionals, just about my career and everything. And driving there that morning, Jenny just said, "Hey, you've earned this thing today, congrats." And I think I texted back. I can't remember what I said word for word. I just said, thank you. But I said, moving forward, I'm just so glad that now I'm doing it the right way. And I said, again, I'm sorry that all the other ones before were done selfishly. And this past weekend, Jack, our oldest, played at Purdue for 3 years, but he transferred to Akron, who Akron played Purdue. So there was some, he was anxious and had anxiety. But Jenny even said yesterday when I was talking to her, about the Blue October thing, she's like, you know, even a lot of the parents at Purdue said, man, Todd's different right now in a good way. It wasn't a negative. Again, I think because I entertained so much here, I'd go to those ball games like it was a timeout. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now I can just unplug, and I don't need the fellowship. I don't need to, talk to these people. But now it's like sort of like what Charles just said. I mean, I look at these opportunities now because, man, I actually do look myself in the mirror, um, and smile. And I said that to the Blue October guy yesterday. I said, my son hit the longest home run the other day at Purdue against Purdue, and Jenny was with me sitting there, and I go, man, it's just so nice to see Jack smiling down there. And I said, even more importantly, Jenny, I said, I'm just glad I can smile right now. And, there's a song with Blue October that just says, I hope you're happy. And I told Ryan, I go, stinking laugh and smile every time I hear that in my car. I go, 2 years ago, I wasn't laughing or doing anything, you know? So, no, like I said, I mean, I'm so grateful to have Jenny in my life still. And she's a supporter, and she is noticing. But again, the ball's in my court, that I have to man up every day and show up, be present. And, when I get a text back from my son that says, hey, Dad, I love you, man, that moves me for the day. I mean, I'm like, I don't care what happens at work. I mean, if members get mad at me, yell at me, I'm like, I'll just look at this text today.
So
But-
good.
But before that was the back burner. And so a lot going on, but it's I'm glad where I'm at right now, not in a bragging way at all, but it's just it has helped my career. I believe that. I mean, just that conversation with Sophie today, if that's what it's about, I mean, all day long.
So we're going to let you go because you got a concert to go to.
I know.
And I can't wait to see what happens tonight. So I'm going to text
We
you
might
tomorrow.
have podcast number 2 next week, man.
I love it. But before we let you go, it just obviously God has done a great work in your life in the last few years, even through tragedy and heartache, right? Because that's typically how God works, by the way. But it's made you a better man, a better father, and husband in a lot of ways, and also a better boss. But if there was one thing left to do in your life, and you've won all kinds of awards, you've got all kinds of crazy, awesome stuff in your life that you do, great places you've been. You've been all over the world golfing with some of the coolest people you can imagine. But if there was one thing left in your life, and money wasn't an object, time wasn't an issue, and you were guaranteed to be successful at it, what would that thing be?
Tell you what, you guys don't know another little deal I used to do growing up, but I mean, I used to sing in weddings, baby.
Come on. Firestone, come on.
Wow.
So I said to my staff, I would love to learn to play guitar. Okay.
Mhm.
And if I do get backstage tonight to break the ice,
Pretty sure you're going to, bro.
here's the deal. This is what I told my staff. And I actually we just hired a new GM who's great. I go, Chad, I got 15 great years left in me. But I go, if tonight goes well, I'm going to ask Blue October if they're still going to be touring in 15 years. I'm going to get tattooed up, and I'm just going to be like, I'm going to go on the road with them. I mean, and our
Fantastic.
membership director walked down. I go, Kelly, would I look good tattooed up, head to toe? And she's looking at me like, what are you talking about? But it would definitely have to be something involved with music, and I mean that. I mean, it moves me. I mean, it's when I said, "Ryan, your band changed my life," I mean, it has. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I never even heard of Blue October until I watched that podcast, you know? But it would be something musically, that it would. Piano, whatever.
You know what? I'm not
But
surprised by that answer because that whole time we're on the trip, there's one dude playing music in the house and listening to music all the time. And it wasn't the guy who does music for a living. It was Todd. And guess who's obsessed with asking Todd about golf?
You.
The music guy.
The music guy.
yeah, so hey, there we go. We might have something here, right?
Yeah, man. Why
We
don't you
both
just
retire. You're the golf pro. I'm the entertainer. Boom.
That is it.
I love it. Well, thank you, Todd. Thank you very much for
All
joining
right,
us.
guys. Thank you.
Great to meet you. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Always good to see you, man.
Yep.
All right.
How many people are going through something like that in their lives, and yet you see somebody coming out on the other side and being able to talk about?
Well, that's what's been so cool because I knew he was going through that 2 years ago, but I'd never had a chance to talk with him about it. We didn't even talk about it on that golf trip. Yeah. I just rode with him on the cart, and we, had a great time just chilling out. And he's super fun to play golf with, but he's also a fantastic golfer.
I would imagine so.
He gives lessons all day long. Yeah. So, and he never golfs, but he watches and he's so encouraging with how he teaches. I mean, there's just a lot about him that I love, but it sounds to me like he was working on everybody but himself. And now he finally is doing that. And I really believe he's had a major encounter with the Lord. And it's pretty impossible not to see that. So you know what? I'm just praying. I'm praying that God does a miracle in his family.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool about that concert.
Well, and the way he creates the culture, because it's not just him, it's his entire staff. You feel, I'm a nobody when I show up with Charles and Tom. Like I'm just the what do they call it? Thing on the bottom of the ship?
The rudder?
No, not the rudder. Some days I'm the rudder.
I thought you were just the plus one.
No, I'm the barnacle.
The dinghy?
No, not the dinghy
Okay.
either. The barnacle.
the barnacle.
When I show up with Charles and
You're the
Tom,
barnacle.
I'm the barnacle. But Todd and his team make me feel like I am just as important as anybody else.
And it
there.
comes from him.
Yeah.
It comes from him. So what a great lesson in hospitality, but also a great lesson in God restoring somebody. And then, like you said, focusing on the right things, priorities in place.
Yeah, and as good of a host and at hospitality and everything that he is, all this stuff going on in his life is just going to make him infinitely better.
Yeah.
So, when I say, like, Johnny O, Peter Millar, all these companies cater to him because, boy, if he's got it in his store, all the other stores follow suit.
Well, hey, we are now not just a podcast, but we're a video podcast. So how can people subscribe?
Vodcast.
A vodcast. A vodcast. Vodcast.
How can we make sure we never miss an episode?
Well, we are on YouTube, so you can find us there.
Yep.
Just search Charles Billingsley Podcast. And you can subscribe there, which the great thing about that is you get, just like on an audio platform, either Spotify or the Apple Podcasts platform, you get notifications when we put one out, which is every Wednesday. But let's be honest, everybody's busy, and you don't always remember that I need to go back and see what was released. It'll tell you, hey, Charles put up a new podcast today. And you can stay up to date with what's going on.
That's right. And of course, don't forget to go to charlesbillingsley.com. There's new stuff on there. There's tremendous merchandise, of course, but also calendar and, of course, product like your new album still.
Yep, and don't forget this new live thing is coming out pretty soon online, so we'll let you know the release date of that.
Great to have you with us.
Everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
I was made for this.